Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's an exciting day for us because we get to talk to you about your upcoming project. My name is Robbie Hauser. I'm the Director of Construction for Nautilus General Contractors. You want to start the presentation?
Yeah.
And then we'll do that. So we have a short presentation for you all today. If you could hold your questions, we'll get into that later, and there will be some Q&A at the end of it. So let's go into our agenda. So today we're going to talk to you a little bit about us, intro of our company. I'll introduce to you our project team. So that'll be the staff that will be working directly on this project for you all. We'll talk about the repair scopes. We'll go over the initial timeline and talk about phasing, site logistics, our impacts to residents, things that you can expect while we're performing the work, and then get into site safety and security. And then we'll also talk about our communication protocols and how we plan to work with you all throughout this whole project. So a little bit about Nautilus.
Sorry, we just have people continuing to join.
So we're a general contractor that specializes in reconstruction repairs for HOAs. So our majority of our work is focused on working in occupied spaces, just like the property you have here, repairing and replacing finishes and other components, retrofitting them, upgrading them to new standards throughout Southern California and Arizona. We've been in business for over 22 years. And this is our bread and butter and our focus. We've completed more than 600 reconstruction projects throughout the Southern California region. And so we've got a process and procedures in place to perform this type of work. So a little introduction about our project team. Our owner is Steve Gustafson. He's been the sole owner of the company the entire time of the 22 years in business. I'm the Director of Construction. Today we also have Joe Villegas, who's the Senior Project Manager. In the back over here, we have Tim Seebach, who's the Project Manager on this. Sam Altman is your Project Superintendent, and he will be the one that you see probably the most day to day because he's here every day of the week at the job. And then Elizabeth in the back over here is your project coordinator. And so she'll be the primary point of contact for every resident here when there comes to questions about status within their unit. And we'll talk about that communication. Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I have a dedicated slide for that, and she has her contact info at the end of this presentation, and we'll be able to share the presentation with everyone. So if you don't have a pen and paper, it's okay. We'll give that to you. So a little bit about the repair scopes. So we've been hired by Basing HOA to perform the curtain wall replacement and the waterproofing project that was part of your special assessment. What that entails is all of the curtain wall systems, and these are the windows that aren't on your balcony. These are the other windows, are all getting replaced. And the removal and replacement process requires us to remove a section of stucco around the perimeter, remove a section of interior finishes as well to pull out the window system, replace the window system, and then we have to patch back those finishes, both on the exterior and the interior side. And so the other component to this new window system is it's a beefier system than what you have today, which means we also have to make structural modifications at the bottom of each stack of windows to allow for the new loading of these windows that you all are going to be having. In terms of the waterproofing repair project, so there's going to be a lot of excavation and removal of landscaping, removal of some hardscape. Hardscape is sidewalks. Some of the fountains are going to be removed as well, in order to fully remove and replace the waterproofing system that is on the podium deck. So that's the level of right, the ceiling of your garage, and the foundation wall that the buildings sit on top of at the podium deck level. And so once we've fully replaced the waterproofing system, we're going to be backfilling, replacing the hardscape, replacing the landscaping, and providing you with a new finished product. And our intent with replacement of the sidewalks is to eliminate as many steps as possible. So that way there will be an improvement for site accessibility throughout the project. Some additional scopes that are under design right now, and we're working through that with the HOA and the Whitmore design team, is the one of the tricky elements that your buildings have are these catacombs, which is a space below the first floor and in between your garage ceiling, where there's a bunch of plumbing components. I think you all might be aware, we went through those areas and did a bunch of structural repairs for you all previously. During that process, access into those spaces is really tight. So while we're excavating and doing the waterproofing project, we're going to be improving the access and replacing the plumbing components in the actual crawl space and catacomb areas. So this is to improve and provide longevity for the plumbing components on your property. Some of the other upgrades that we're looking at doing in the catacombs is there's no lighting down there at all. So we're looking at installing lights. That way future maintenance can be done in a safer and more productive manner. Balcony repairs. So one of the other items that we're in the design process with as well is the balconies have issues of concrete spalling and some waterproofing issues. And so we're working through a new design for removal and replacement of the waterproofing system on the deck, as well as repairs to the concrete spalling on the balconies. And this, if you don't see it on your deck, it's happening at other decks. This is not a full community-wide repair. There are issues at localized locations for the balconies. So overall project timeline. This whole project is pretty intricate, and the way that we're phasing this job has a strict sequence to it, because one repair can't happen before another. And the other component that also makes it tricky is site accessibility. Your property has limitations for how we can get in and out every day, and where we can store materials and phase the project. So overall, our project timeline duration is about a 24-month duration, so 2-year project. And it will be sequenced starting at towers 1 and 2 on the base side, moving over to towers 3 and 4 on the north side, which north side, for everyone's reference, is your neighboring property that has another 4-story or 5-story building up Grisham Street. And then moving to the base side of towers 4, and then working on Grisham Street side. The reason for that is because getting the material in, we're trying to work our way through the tight areas first, and work our way out to the street side, so that way we can turn over the interior sooner rather than later.
Do you want me to show the diagram?
So phasing wise, we're gonna start, this is actually south side, this is your north side, and this is the bay over here. So we're gonna start along here with our curtain wall replacement on the bay side. And then we're gonna jump to this guy.
No, can I do that?
Click more. You do hide floating down. And then we're gonna on the north side here, doing the curtain wall. While we're doing the curtain wall on the north side over here, we've started the waterproofing here. So the intention is always the curtain wall repair leads the waterproofing. And the reason for that is because when we're removing and replacing the curtain wall system, we have to do a new structural modification at the bottom. And so we can't do a waterproofing assembly until we do that structural element at the bottom of the step. So that's why the waterproofing repair is always going to follow the curtain wall project. And so after we get through phases 1 and 2, we're going to work on phases 3 and 4 on the north side, wrap and go to phases 5 and 6, which is bay side of towers 3 and 4. And then the final phases are along Grisham Street. So we're going to work back at towers 1 and 2. And then finally, there's a curtain wall section on tower 3 that will get to the last remaining items along with the water. Our final phase of waterproofing is going to be at the lobby. And the reason for that is for daily access for all the equipment, material, laborers. They're going to come through this entrance here between the lobby and tower 2. That way we can control site logistics for our crews and keep other areas open for residents to access the buildings on a daily basis. There will be some impacts throughout the project and we're going to have to reroute you through some of the access points because for us to do waterproofing repairs, we have to excavate along the whole perimeter of the building.
Mention phase 1.
Oh, okay, sure. So this is strictly focused on the curtain wall and waterproofing project as initially planned. We are working as additional scopes that are under design with the design team, Whitmore, and the HOA on additional improvements around the pool entry.
No, I thought the waterproofing.
Well, the waterproofing, oh, got it. So there's another element that we've discovered is this room here is showing signs of water intrusion above it. And so phase 1A is there's another portion of scope that we're working through to re-waterproof this structure. And so that one would be included in our overall timeline is our goal, but it would be a later phase that we would probably integrate with phase 9.
Can I go forward?
Yes.
Maybe. There we go.
So site logistics. During the construction period, there isn't a lot of room for us to lay down materials and equipment other than the front driveway. So we've worked with the HOA on us having this as our laydown area for the duration of the work. We get things done sooner. We're of course going to open things back up to the residents as quickly as we can. But we need an area where we can drop off materials, remove excavation soils, ways to stage the process of getting materials in and out of the property in an efficient manner. And by having us have this as our laydown area, this access point makes the most sense for us between the lobby and tower 2 for accessing all of the site. In terms of, pedestrian access on a daily basis, we're going to, strive to maintain the Grisham Street access for towers 2 and 1, and, the south entrance, for pedestrian access as well. These entrances will temporarily be impacted when we're doing waterproofing in those zones, and we'll come up with a temporary path of travel for those residents prior to doing any of the work. Over on tower 3 and 4, this is going to be your primary access point for pedestrian access.
Where is that?
By the staircase on tower 3.
Oh, you'll still need to go through there to get the tower.
That will be like the majority of the time. Only impact to that is when we're doing the waterproofing. So waterproofing portion will impact that, and we'll come up with a different temporary address plan for those two towers.
Can you show the outline of your fence there?
So that's gonna be this storage and laydown area. It's gonna be where we're gonna have temp fencing, and then we'll also have temp fencing at our entrance in and out of the site between tower 2 and the lobby.
Will
So we're gonna have a complete fence around our whole laydown.
but access through the lobby will still be available?
We will, yes, so you will still be able to, because that's where your mail is. So we're still providing access to the lobby throughout the entirety of the project.
And to the garage, obviously.
Yes,
But not through the front door.
Yes, to the front door.
through the front door of the lobby. So we'll still, this whole pathway to the front lobby will be access. So you'll have a dedicated, clear path of travel to get to the lobby on foot via pedestrian access. But the driveway itself will be closed.
And not past the lobby. But up to the lobby, anything past that, that's site. I would like to add, Roger, that in the interim of doing the work, the balcony repairs as well as the crawl space repairs, we're interjecting that timeline within 24 months. That's our goal. We're not gonna add to that. We're gonna attempt to make sure that we do it within that schedule. So there's gonna be a lot of coordination that Elizabeth's gonna do with the individual balcony repairs for the residents. So just note that that collaboration is gonna be super important with emails, contacts, anything we need to make sure that you guys. Thank you.
So impacts to residents, what you can expect: noise, dust, vibrations, and when I say odors, what we've seen on other window replacement jobs is when we install a new window system, there are new sealants, and they are totally safe in terms of health conditions, and we can get you that documentation, but they do have a smell to them. So one thing to know is that when you get in your unit and it's a new window system, it's going to smell a little bit, but that odor will dissipate because it's so fresh and clean. Yeah, it's like a new car. So
Actually open windows to let.
yeah,
smell it.
yeah. So I just want to hit that at the forefront. So, yes, it is. It is. It's usually like a couple weeks. In terms of interior access to replace the windows. So, like I was talking before, we are going to have to remove a section of the interior around the window system to pull out the old window and replace it with the new. So what that means is we will be affecting the interiors of your space, which impacts having to relocate furniture that are right next to the windows, and other personal belongings. If you have art hanging on the wall that's next to it, let's remove that and take that off the wall. And any other built-in components, we're gonna work with you as much as possible, but that could potentially be impacted as well. All of the window treatments and window blinds will be removed and reinstalled. We have anticipated that if they're manually operated window treatments and blinds, our crew will be removing and reinstalling them. If they are electric blinds, we're not electric blind people, so unfortunately, we would have the owners remove and reinstall. Shutters, we would remove and reinstall. But yeah, we have the capability of doing that. In terms of the for us to remove and replace the windows, we have scaffolding that's going all the way up to the top floor, and I'll get yeah. So we have scaffolding all the way to the top floor. So your views are going to be impacted during the duration of us doing the removal process of the window system. So that's something to be expected. And the scaffolding will only be up for when we are working on the stack of units in your actual unit stack. Once that stack is complete, the scaffolding comes down and then we move to the next. So it's not up the entirety of the project. It is just for the portion of your building. The access to amenity spaces. So this is getting down to the pool and this clubhouse area. We're going to make sure that we give you all a path of travel, a safe path of travel to and from your buildings, but there will be times where we're going to have to reroute you. So you may have to walk a little bit longer to get to the pool, but the pool will remain open the entirety of our project. That's our goal. So, driveway by the lobby, we talked about that being closed. So all the excavation and the structural upgrades for the curtain wall mean that all the landscaping around the perimeters of the buildings is coming out. It will be replaced, but it will be coming out. It's just the nature of having to do this. We are working, Jeff and his team have brought on a great landscape architect, and they're working through specifying plants that are fully capable of replacing what your all's original design was. And just know that the impacts are temporary. It is a long construction duration, but know that at the end of this, you all will have a new curtain wall system and fresh new landscaping and new hardscape that are going to improve the overall project.
When you say a stack, you mean, like, some units have 3 stacks, maybe you got the bedroom, second bedroom, so would that be a stack,
Yeah, so a stack of windows is if you're in your bedroom and you see 4 windows and then it's got a wall on each side. Those 4 windows and all the way down to the ground floor and all the way to the roof
5 floors tall.
are being replaced at once. So
but my question was, then there's a second bedroom that has another stack.
That's a second stack.
That's a separate.
I'll be done separate.
So we may be working on 2 stacks at a time, but in terms of the actual removal and replacement process, we are working on the whole stack as a uniform system. And that's because of the design of a curtain wall it's a uniform window assembly.
Robbie, do you think that when you get to a unit and it involves perhaps 3 stacks in one unit, that you'll plan on doing all 3 stacks at one time?
So
We'll plan on, to minimize the impact to the unit, get to them all at the same time.
All at the same
That
time,
might be a little bit staggering.
right?
We're limited with.
But the idea is to potentially try to get to all of them.
We're in a unit, we're doing all three steps.
Yes, sir.
Please do interior window and vertically is fixed to the wall.
It's a great question. So, and we are gonna bring that up. So, we need about 3 feet off the window. And the reason for that is because when we're setting window panes, there has to be a guy on the interior standing and a guy on the exterior setting the windows in place. And so what we're going to be doing when we're pulling the whole window system is there's gonna be a temporary wall inside your unit. So we're gonna install that first before we remove any of the window system. Is there will be this false temporary wall, so that way when our guys are working, there's a protection layer between your unit and the outside.
Can you kind of explain what that wall's gonna look like? Is it like gonna be 100% plywood or something, or is there gonna be any kind of air coming in?
So, it will be more of like a plywood assembly. We've done this at, some high rises in, downtown. And, it's got like a foam system. And then on your interior is the plywood, board. And it's framed out. So, yeah, it will be fastened to the wall system, so that way, it's gonna be rigid and in place, and, there won't be gaps around it. So it'll be,
No airflow, I mean, or you won't be able to see out.
you won't be able to see out for that portion of the work.
That's your heat.
Right, remove the, 3 feet in, my flyer meter, move 25 feet built in, out, because it's all one piece.
So let us work through that with you, because what depends on how the built-in is attached to near the window system, because we only need to remove 6 inches around the window. And so if we have enough room, we don't have to pull the built-in, we're gonna modify the interior protection wall, so that way it protects your built-in and still provides us sun sense.
Next, we'll put it in, so we've got Rick.
I know. Okay. So, next week is a very good opportunity, because the superintendent is gonna be coming through and do all the asbestos and lead-based paint. They'll be able to look at things and kind of assess things and see where we're at the problems. We'll be tracking that. So we'll have a better idea after next week.
And I would like to interject that while we are doing the production flow of your units, we're gonna be coming in 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time, so you'll be getting phone calls from Elizabeth to provide more in detail the final plans. And that collaboration is gonna be between us and the resident ahead of time. We'll have a checklist. We can answer all your questions in detail, specifically to what you have. And that's the reason why we're doing that, because everybody's condition is gonna be different. So that expectation will be coming. So the influx of work for your staff, you'll be receiving that phone call.
Is there an estimated time for one stack for the first to the 5th floor? Is there an estimated time, like 5 to 6 weeks?
Well, let us finish the presentation. Just a little more,
Yeah.
because then we'll get the questions. He's almost done the presentation.
Oh, okay.
So other preparation, so we talked about the 3 feet, built into the wall,
Make up one, hold on.
and we talked about the removal of the 6 inches of finishes. And we're gonna be putting all those finishes back to match the existing. We'll be reinstalling any manual, window coverings or blinds or shutters. But again, electric blinds, are the responsibility of the owners. And we'll work to review the built-ins with each one, and assess that and whether or not those need to be, removed or not. And then so, terms of your building, it is an older property. And unfortunately, they used materials back then that have some hazardous components. What we found is that the stucco of your building does have asbestos in it. So part of the removal process, you have to abate the stucco properly. It's a code and permitting process that we have to go through on other properties. We always have to take samples of the existing finishes, test them for lead and asbestos, which is why next week we're going into units to do the lead and asbestos testing. And Bob brought up earlier, where our team will also be in the unit and we can talk about and assess some of the built-ins at that time and other impacts of finishes that we see when we're inside. So we do ask for as much cooperation with that portion as possible. So please help us with that.
There'll be a schedule. We'll know
No,
what
will not be a schedule.
we won't know then.
You won't know. We'll try to call first and say, hey, we're in one unit, we're coming to yours, maybe 20 minutes, but we're not gonna,
Yeah.
there's not gonna be a schedule.
Okay. That's fine.
But you know what day already.
Well, we hope that we're gonna go to Friday, definitely gonna go to Friday. Especially if now we're talking about somebody's wall system in there, all of a sudden, it's not gonna be 20 minutes anymore, it's gonna be longer, so we gotta keep that in mind, we've gotta get this done this week. So let's not extend them, get in and out as best they can, so we can get the next.
We can always do the quick assessment today, and we can schedule a more in-depth consultation with you. I mean,
That would be good.
that the point of having Sam and Elizabeth is to help with that process of communication and expectations throughout this project.
Is this testing an additional cost?
It's been as part of the work itself. It's included within.
It wasn't additional cost, it was about $11,000 to test every unit.
Thank you.
Okay.
Forward.
Yes, please. Safety and security. So our typical work hours are 8 to 5. What you'll see throughout the project is at 7:30, crews will start to show up to the site and get their tools ready, get materials lined up. All of that is going to be quiet work before work and actually drilling or hard excavation and loud noises start at 8 a.m. We only work Monday through Friday, and that's intentional because it's a longer project. You all need your weekends of quiet, so we totally understand that and respect that. In terms of on a daily basis, so Sam Altman is your project superintendent. He will be here Monday through Friday throughout the project from we start to when we end at the end of each day. And he'll make sure that at the end of each day, the site's secure, everything's locked up, and that if access wise is all clean, so that way there's no trip hazards or any other material just lying there. So all of our work, a majority of that is done with specialty trades. So the windows being removed and replaced is being done by a union contractor. They specialize in curtain wall assemblies. We vetted them with several other contractors, and they were the best value for this project. And waterproofers and other trades, stucco, those are all done by specialty trades throughout the project. All of our construction personnel will be clearly identifiable. You'll see vests. We require hard hats of all our crew members. So that way you can easily identify them while they're working on the project itself. And as we talked about earlier about our access through the property site, we're gonna have controlled access there. So our main daily ingress and egress to the project with all our crews is gonna be between the lobby and Tower 2. And that's our expectation throughout the entirety of the project.
Excuse me, I have a question about that security.
Yeah.
They're gonna be wearing vests and hats, but do they have a badge on to really know that they are with their company?
We can do badging. We have the capability of that, and we can implement that. So, yes.
I think that would be there because anybody can wear a hat and vest.
Good point. Yes.
Forward.
Communications. So Elizabeth, she's your project coordinator. And so she's dedicated for this project, through the entirety of it. And so in terms of, communications, you can reach out to her directly. This is her office number. And we've also set up a dedicated, basing, email account. So that way, if you can't remember a specific name, you can always go basing@nautilusgeneral.com. It will get picked up, your question will be answered, and we'll get back to you with any communication needs related to that. In terms of, as we're working through the project, you will get notices at a minimum 2 weeks in advance to confirm that we're tracking to repairs with in your unit. We also do a follow-up as we get closer to it, and reminder notices, because we also are busy human beings and can appreciate having a reminder notice as well. So as we go through the project, 2 weeks is our first notice, and then you'll get reminder notices stating when we're coming into your unit. We also do on-site postings and notifications. So door knockers will have a dedicated space where we'll also put updates of project status. I think we'll work through an area in the lobby where we can post some notices of project statuses as well. So that way you can see some of the progress, and if you have a question, we intend to have that answered within those information handouts.
Can you post that online too for those of us who aren't in full time?
Sure. Yeah. We'll have to work with you and Venus on that, because I don't think we have dedicated access to that. So
No, but Jim, our guy in the back, Jim will help us with that. He does their place.
Great. So then,
Probably you mentioned you have a on-site project office.
yeah,
Where is that?
so we're working through either we'll have a dedicated office in our laydown area, or we'll stage another location where we can have Sam set up with plans, specs on site.
Little trailer or something?
Yeah, it'd be a small,
But Elizabeth will have all of our emails, so any notices will also be sent out electronically to everyone.
correct.
Right.
Yes, yeah, so to answer or to repeat that question for those online, Elizabeth will have access to all the emails of all the owners, and we'll be able to email blast out the notices, so that way you get the communication via email sooner rather than seeing it posted on your door or email. We also communicate, so via phone calls, again, this is Elizabeth's office number. And so if you make a phone call, that goes to her, and she can respond to your questions via phone if you prefer to communicate that way rather than.
Elizabeth, did you pick short straw on this?
You don't know these people, you're gonna be rude the day.
Bobby, I think you should, a lot of people are absentee homeowners. And, you know, all of a sudden they're gonna get a notice 2 weeks out that their unit's being done. They're not here on site. Would you recommend that they, attempt to come out here and meet with you in the 2 weeks, and once that's done, then they don't need to be here anymore, or whatever? What would you recommend an absentee homeowner do?
Yeah, so, if you are an absentee homeowner, we can schedule a time to meet with you in advance of that. So if we're, if it's more convenient travel wise, please reach out to us sooner and then we can make accommodations for meeting with you. So that way we can get that on the books and start to work through that process.
What is the time frame for this, inside unit assessment?
Oh, so typically we need probably like 30 minutes to.
During our consult, we'll meet with you, and we'll be there for about 30 minutes, mostly for us to make sure we're looking at everything that might be getting in the way, answer any questions that we want to specific now to whatever the need will be. I will be sending out a notice 2 weeks prior before we enter a unit, so I can schedule the consultation with you to whatever fits your schedule. And to answer the question, if you're not here or if you're an absentee owner, I can also do over the phone consult to explain things a lot better to you guys as well, to make it just easier. So don't feel like you don't have to be there. We prefer you to be there so we can explain in person. But I can definitely meet with you over the phone. And then just for access, if someone can provide us access to come in, so we can discuss everything. Do you?
Yeah, so the project is intended to kick off at the beginning of September. So that's the initial start time. We are still working on an exact date because of materials are still out there for the curtain wall assembly, and that's the driving force of the actual schedule right now.
So if you're starting the project September 1, building, what would you like to have these consultations done by?
So we would probably like to start them in August, honestly. So at the beginning of August would be ideal for us to start.
We'll be building by whoever can have.
Well, so curtain wall wise, we're starting on tower 1, 2, and 3 Bayside. So if you're one of those owners, ideally, those would be the first phase that we're going to be working.
Do you have an estimate of how long you think a single curtain wall will take? Like when our guest bedroom, that whole stack.
Yeah, so there's going to be a little bit of variance from one stack to another because some stacks are 2 windows wide, some are 5 wide. But Tim,
Yeah, on average, when we get into a unit, it's gonna take about 30 working days for complete curtain wall system. The actual, for if you have, say on average, there's 2 stacks, right, per unit, then those 2 units are gonna take about 30 working days.
that's from first floor to 5th floor. So that encompasses the whole set of units.
And that includes that wooden closure.
It does.
Okay. So 30 months without a view.
I'd like to add I would like to add that, although we are starting in September, we will be mobilized earlier, probably mid-August.
It all depends on the.
Yeah.
Mid to late August, probably.
There will be a mobilization process, so when you see our trucks pulling in, our pets are getting ready, at the time we're starting that day.
Access has come up a few times.
Yeah.
In your experience, see, we don't have anybody here that can get into every unit. We have, you have a friend, you got a friend, he might let you in. In your other projects, have you required somebody there to be able to get into every unit? Like, for example, there are people who don't rarely come here.
Yeah.
And you want to get the inspections done next week. And the chances are you won't be able to get somebody. So should we have a way, or should you have a way to get into every unit?
So I think that's a great point for us to work with those owners and Elizabeth, because reaching out and talking to her about how we're going to access even throughout the project if they are offsite a majority of the time. In other HOAs and high rises we've worked with, we either worked with the property manager and the owner, where the property manager has the access of the key to the unit. Or we work with them directly and they provide a lockbox location where we sign it in, sign it out on a daily basis. We've done both. It's up to the owner on their comfort level, and it does if we don't have a preference. So,
Owners have different comfort levels. That's the problem.
Wondering if we could replace it.
in the,
Pipes.
so right now, it's a cast iron system, so we have to go back with the cast iron replacement.
Why is that?
There's a code requirement, unfortunately. And it comes down to some fire related components. So unfortunately.
Is this the question and answer thing right now?
Yes. Okay, good.
I have a question for Bob. What is the HOA going to allow for access keys? Are we gonna allow Mike to have our keys to open our units?
We don't want Mike, Mike, that becomes a full-time job with Mike in there. You know, he's got other things to do.
So I'm just asking.
I'll tell you, I gotta say something because the access system we have right now sucks. Even though it works fine for one unit at a time type of thing, but we're doing a global access. The keys have gotten all screwed up. They're not labeled right or something, so they're all screwed up right now. I can tell you that now. This has been hell getting next week set up. We gotta have a better system. We gotta have more owners that are willing to share their key or put a keypad thing that with the code on it. They're the greatest because then you just know the code and you can get in easy. But it is hell every time we go through this. And I mean, I've been spending the last several days full time just trying to get up stuff for next week, and that's how bad it is. We gotta have a better system.
So we can put a code, a lock that has a code to enter our room. That's allowed.
That's great. Because all we do is use your code and you're good. You can check.
We're allowed to do locks.
A lot of owners have done that. You know, you can see a couple in your tower. You'll see on the second floor, Robert's got, well, he's got different, but I got one. A lot of people have different kinds in.
So we set a recommendation like we did on the water centers on locksmiths to do that. I think a lot of people would be willing to do that.
I can set a blanket email out with some options. Yeah.
Question back here, from the hardscape down to the podium level.
Yeah.
What's that depth that's gonna be excavated?
So unfortunately, that varies from tower to tower. There are some areas where it's about 7-8 feet deep. Other areas where it's about 3 feet. So it just depends on where we are around the towers. The podium deck slopes uniformly this way. And one thing that we found with doing some test pits is that there isn't sloping away from certain pockets also, because the way that your system, your building isn't like just a square box. It's got these like little turns and nooks, and because it slopes all one direction, water is getting trapped in certain areas, and we're going to be addressing that and resloping that, so that way there's always positive drainage around the building.
Also, how are those temporary walls gonna be affixed?
So we'll fasten them to the interiors, and so as part of the patchback portion and restoration of finishes, we're going to make sure that all of that is, you won't even see any of the temporary fasteners.
Robbie, we got a couple of online questions
Yeah.
maybe. Says, can you please review how the access to the garage works when you've got the driveway combined, or is access to both garages maintained open at all times?
Garages will be maintained and open the entirety.
Okay,
We may have an area where we're unloading material, but we'll move the truck out of the way if you need to get in. So
okay. And then there's a concern here that says, when are the temporary walls installed? All at once or as the phases proceed? So just to clarify, The temporary walls are only when the stack is under construction.
Correct. Yep.
Okay,
And once the new curtain wall is in, that wall comes down.
got it. I think,
Once this repair inside of the unit will be done after the finish the windows, then the repair will be inside the unit.
Right after, so
Right
what, yeah, so once the stack of windows is fully complete, we're gonna be patching back the interiors and out of the unit. So that full 30-day duration that Tim mentioned before is the entirety, from the time that we make the first touch of the unit to us doing cleanup and totally out. Yeah.
How the split will be like. That, not every part, what it will be two-thirds and one-third.
She's asking like this is the question of the mid rail, like the mullion at the middle. Is it, it's not 50-50.
it's not 50-50. So from 3 feet down is fixed. From 3 feet up is opened on the far outside. The middle panels are fixed.
So the middle panel will not have screens. But
Correct.
The two on the side will have screens and go.
Correct, correct.
But so the mullion, I think her question is, the mullion that splits the window system, is it 50%, 50%?
No. So the window, the wall is approximately 8 feet tall. The wall is approximately 8 feet tall. The bottom is 3 feet, and that is all fixed. Okay. Above that, there's a horizontal. Above that, on the outside, there's two 3-foot windows, and they're operable. They open out like a door. They're called casements. And then in the middle panels, they're fixed.
But that's 6 feet, not 8 feet. You're saying 3 feet.
3 feet and 5 feet.
Okay.
3 feet and 5 feet tall. Sorry.
So to answer your question, it's more of like a 35, 65 split.
And that's by code. That's the requirement.
Yeah, so there's there
I can show it to you on the computer when we're
Well,
done.
look at the hallway in Tower 3.
There you
So
go.
they're very similar.
okay.
What unit? Okay, we'll have to talk when you're done. We can show you. Please come see us before you leave. Good to see you here. Okay, well, no, don't go over that.
One question in the back first.
Temporary wall is up in our unit.
Yep,
All the materials that they remove will be removed on the other side.
correct.
And there won't be any need for anyone else to come into our unit. Everything will be done outside of that window, correct?
With the respect of the replacement of the window system, once that window's in place, then we do have the interior patch back where we would have to go into the unit because we can't go through the outside anymore.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. I was trying.
Yeah, so great question.
At the end, they would be coming back in to fix it. That would be like.
That's,
removal.
yes.
Okay.
So they're gonna be about 15 working days where people will be inside. Because they're not gonna be able to do the removal of the finishes around the curtain wall. They have to do that before they remove the curtain wall system itself. So there's gonna be a little bit of staggering, but call it 5 days to remove the finishes around the curtain wall. And the curtain wall get removed from the exterior. There's nobody in the unit. And once they put the curtain walls back, we're gonna be inside the unit again to finish off the areas around the curtain walls to get it back where it was.
Like on, off, on. So, yeah. Yes.
When you remove the curtain wall, are you also talking about the flooring?
Yes.
Yes.
So there is, the flooring will be impacted, but there's gonna be a new, finish trim detail, that we've worked through, and that will kind of vary depending on your floor finish, and we'll have to work through that.
I want to discuss that we are going to do a mock-up.
Yeah.
And so the very first window that gets done for every stack that gets done. We'll get mocked up for finish. And we're also gonna be testing it. We're gonna be testing it for air infiltration, for water infiltration, make sure everything's sealed, it performs the way we want. And we can also look at it. You can see it. You see what it looks like.
That'll be what?
That's a good question. Which is the very first unit? I don't think I've heard that yet, but I'm not gonna put on this
We
one.
have that on our schedule and we'll.
So there is some of that.
Start at the bottom and go to.
So we unfortunately have to start at the, when we remove, the whole system comes out. But when we're installing, we have to start from the bottom and work our way up. And that's the reason for that is the structural retrofit is at the base of the stack. And you build off the base all the way to the top. So I know that there's
Structurally,
a couple
this whole
units
5
deep,
stories supported at the bottom and attached as you go up.
I'm gonna hit these questions
Yep.
first, and then I'll get to you, and then you. So, go ahead.
Okay, in respect to the, bed and asbestos next week, if they find out that there's more than they thought, can that delay the project or incur more costs to the project?
It wouldn't necessarily delay the project. There is a potential for more abatement than was originally budgeted. So there is a cost impact.
Okay, my question has to do with the balconies. I know we have some balconies that are definitely have issues, spiraling and water intrusion. You mentioned that we would be waterproofing. Are we gonna be waterproofing the batteries that don't have any issues, or only the ones that have issues?
Only the ones that have it.
Okay, so it's not a universal. It's just the balconies and all. There's statute, we have to inspect all the balconies. And so I'm assuming there may be some picked up that we don't.
We've already done the inspection. We already done which ones are.
So we've identified.
Your balcony's done, except for the end cap. So what we plan to do, we're doing a design right now. Right now, there's stucco on the end cap. That stucco, more water gets into there and has cracked many balconies because of that. We're gonna be removing that stucco on at least, the idea is every place we're having to stack the scaffolding up. While the scaffolding's up, we're gonna remove the stucco on the entire end cap of every balcony that's having the scaffolding. So it'll be a waterproofing material and not a stucco. Ideally, we'd love to do every balcony, the end caps. We might not have the money for that right away. That'll be a future, but at least we're already got the scaffolding up. We're gonna try to do the end cap of every balcony. I'm telling you, the little curb area at the very end of the balcony, which right now is stucco. Get rid of the stucco, put a nice waterproofing material on there, and it'll be less problems in the future. But right now, because of that porous stucco, it's creating a lot of problems.
Yes, sir.
I wonder if from your experience in dealing with projects like this.
Yeah.
And we're dealing with an access, problem that has to be solved. And it's been brought up that one good solution is a code, on every door. And, Bob has said he's gonna put out a list. Well, we had a problem with general access and we got fobs instead of keys. And I'm wondering if you would suggest from your experience, whether it would be wise for us to inquire about getting a fob put on, a system with a code on every door. Maybe those already have one, we can get one. Maybe the HOA should pay for it, maybe it's mandatory. I mean, do you have an opinion on that? That would solve it for some time.
So we recently did a hallway renovation project at Verizon's in the Marina District, and they swapped out all the door hardware to have both a fob capability and a code capability, which has seemed to be a great improvement that all of the residents have fully taken advantage of. We can provide the recommendation of that hardware to you all. And,
But we don't have the money for that, Ed. We don't have the money for that. The system I put in was about $300 and some, and there's other systems that you can use your fingerprint and all that, and they're about $600. So you have options, but the homeowner's expense, put that in, but that's some of the options.
We might come up with a standard.
A couple of bandits maybe.
Oh, yeah.
you had one.
I had a question.
kind of was covered on the balconies.
Okay.
You are gonna go into every balcony and take the stucco lip off of it?
Well, not every balcony at this time, we'd love to, but at least if a stack requires scaffolding, like you have the 5th floor being done,
Like,
we got the scaffolding up on that, but we're gonna do all in that stack, so we've already paid for the scaffolding, okay? But if a stack doesn't even have any balconies being done, we probably cannot do the lip on those balconies at this time, but we will try to get that in the very near future.
But you mentioned the balcony problem is the stucco is absorbing water.
Yeah.
Well, not just some of them, all of them.
It is.
They need to all be removed, not some
Well,
of
if we
them.
have the money, we do, but I mean, you know, this project's just starting, we haven't gotten the change orders, things like that, there's only so much money.
This is something HOA gonna have to pay.
Yes.
Because it's a structure, it's not part of our balcony, it's a structure.
It's all HOA.
yes.
I have a quick question. I noticed in Tower 3 right now, that it kind of partially destroyed the windows there in the hallway. When will that be fixed? I think they were trying to, it's been almost a month now that it's been disappeared.
So you're talking about the hallway in there?
The demonstration.
Yeah.
windows.
The first question was that, when will that be repaired? And will we be given any lead time both on that as far as the noise factor and when our particular unit, when the curtain, will we be given lead time? So the two-part questions.
Yeah, so in terms of like, I'll have to get back to you on the Tower 3 hall, because I don't know that off the top of my head. But, in terms of your unit and scheduling, overall phasing wise, your unit is the Grisham Street facing, correct?
Yeah.
So, the curtain wall system itself is like one of the last ones to get replaced. And so in terms of that, in our overall timeframe and schedule, that's towards summer of, next year.
Right, but the question is for all of us, how much lead time? So suppose you want to plan not to be here, well, how much lead time will we?
So we'll give you a notice, 2 weeks in advance to confirm the start time within your stacky units. And so in terms of overall, as I said before, we're going to share today's presentation with everyone. And there's an overall, high level schedule that shows which areas of curtain wall are being replaced under which general timeframes. So it's including multiple stacks. So if you see several months, it's because it's multiple stacks of window. Yes, sir.
For those owners who are not here full time, do we still have the stack monitor system in place? As far as getting access to our units? And if not, I'm thinking about it. I think I like the idea of installing something that has a code that you open it up and there's the key.
Yeah.
If we do that, to whom could we give the code? Okay.
And that's actually a really good question. We want to direct all information to her. They get information.
If we're not able to be present for that consultation, can we just take pictures of our unit so we can solve on the phone?
Yeah,
Okay.
totally. Yes, yeah. And if you know that you're going to be out of town during a certain time, reach out to us so we can try to coordinate in advance.
So some of these can be done by video conference.
Yeah.
Then you can take your phone and you can walk around.
We've done several different ways. We've done FaceTime, we've done, via text, we've sent emails, confirmation, photo, date stamp. For us, our goal is to make sure that communication is conveyed, however the resident wants to do it. But we'll be prepared to supply that.
I have an online question that says, are we going to lose any actual footage in the condo once the windows are replaced? And the answer is no. We're working from the existing slab edge outwards. And that's the way the existing curtain wall was designed, and that's our basis, and everything is working outboard of that existing slab edge. Hopefully that explanation makes sense.
You've done a major project here in PB before.
In Pacific Beach, when was the last one? We have done multiple repairs in PB. Have to get that.
The reason I ask is if you don't nail it down, it's gone the next step.
Oh,
I mean, I'm
So we
talking
were-
about the most,
Yeah.
I'm talking major equipment, everything and anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it will be stolen within a 24 hours.
So we are
So
often
security-
also downtown and we know about that
Okay.
type of security concerns, so we're very familiar with.
So one more thing for all. You might mention, before you close, that all of these questions, answers, the presentation, the slides
Yeah.
are all available on the Basing HOA website. We recorded it this time, so last time we didn't record the presentation. This is actually a video on the website of the presentation. And one more thing on the balconies. So our architects are, as they're designing a balcony for repair, but they're also gonna have a detail in there for those who wanna install, who haven't yet installed new sliding doors. There's gonna be a detail how best to design it with the sliding doors to get the right height, maybe a little curve for waterproofing and all that, so you won't make problems, so it'll be a nice detail for future people putting the sliding door in the future.
Yes.
All the work on the balcony, is that gonna be done on the exterior of the window, or do they need to access your unit for that?
We do not.
And then the other is, we're gonna know who you are, but you really won't know who we are. Is maybe it's a good idea for the people living here to wear like some kind of a coat that you know that these people live here.
So security wise, we're training not to let general people just walk through our site. So in terms of our access point, it will be secured, for just our crew members and laborers and construction.
Get your ball cap.
Yeah, and we typically have a check-in sign-in sheet as well. So Sam will have everybody come to the office ready to starting work. That way we have that control.
Yeah, so a lot of people were
I think I
asking
know.
questions
Looks like
about
I can't hear.
when people from your firm need to come into the units to do the fall and so forth. So these units have multiple stacks, and we're gonna do one stack. Are we going, and then the second or the third stack in these units, will they be scheduled on at a separate time, or are you gonna try to do them all simultaneously?
We're gonna impact the unit at one time.
Okay.
That's our goal. Whether if we're starting on one section of your windows, that might start a few days before we start working on the other section. So, but when we move into the unit, right, our intent is to get all of the work done within that unit, and then we're out. Yes.
The window bars on the inside are gonna be black as well as the outside, or on the inside gonna be white?
No, it's
all black and black, right?
It is all one bronze.
Dark
bronze, technically.
It is not.
Yeah.
Darker, actually, because it's all faded.
Yeah.
Anything else? Well, thank you.
I'm supposed to say.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah.
We talked about pulling all the landscape, everything out and replacing. One of the things that I did against is all this landscaping planters and even landscaping with grass and plants. They all got irrigation in them. They're all watering. It's just asking for leaves. And are you gonna put all that stuff back like it is now?
So I know the landscape architect is working through, coming up with a more, lucrative system for the landscape plan design. And I don't want to say it's like a desert scape, or they're looking at options that aren't super, irrigation focused plants.
maybe the best word would be water wise.
Yes. Water efficient plants.
Can't explain to you what that,
One of the reasons you know, I think the San Diego doesn't want to have any.
So isn't there a steering committee here that's working with the rest?
yes. Discussion to be continued. Okay.
Well, thank you all. Really appreciate your time.